So I'm a first generation Mexican American was born in El Paso, Texas. Neither my family or had any education prior to maybe high school. So we've always been driven to kind of follow careers that would provide us just a stable kind of lifestyle. And somewhere along the way, I was introduced to science and immunology and cancer. So my driving feature for me is I'm really curious. I love a good challenge, and I love helping people. So ultimately, I think those three factors really drove me to serve in the capacity that I'm serving now at a university. So I love running a laboratory. I love offering guidance, mentorship, developing new technologies, ideas that hopefully will positively impact a patient or their families or their loved ones. The biggest challenge early on in my academic journey was finding an example of somebody I can emulate, somebody that looked like me, somebody that had similar experiences than I did, somebody that I can relate to on a level besides just academics. That was probably the biggest challenge, because as you advance from bachelor's to your PhD to your academic career, there aren't a lot of people that necessarily have the same experiences as you did, and that was really important to me. But it was really hard to find those people. I was fortunate in many ways that at each of my academic steps, ranging from my bachelor's degree to my post-bac degree to my PhD, and then as a faculty, I was able to find at least one individual that I felt really cared about my career and cared about me. So that was probably one of the biggest challenges, finding those individuals. I would say embrace the challenges and all the tribulations, all the challenges, all the heartaches, embrace them and learn from them. Every single one of those instances has the opportunity to make you stronger and to prepare you for the next challenge you're going to face in life. The other is take time to appreciate the successes. Oftentimes, each of us in this world are so driven, and that we oftentimes lose sight of we've had a big success, whether that's treating the first patient, that's a big R-level grant or a big DoD grant, or whatever the case is. We oftentimes forget to enjoy it, to celebrate it, not only amongst yourselves, but without the whole team, with your family. And instead, we're focused on the next big challenge, and we just lose sight of them. I would encourage myself to do that. The other is, believe it or not, there are people that do care about you, whether they show it or not. So when you're struggling in the first time in your career, there are people who do care about you, and it's important that you don't let your pride get in the way and that you find the help that you need. Yeah, so a couple of hobbies that we've taken up, and we, being my family and I have 3 boys at home and then my wife at home. We like overlanding or camping. And what I think I love about that is similar to what I love about science. You kind of go out in the wild, you find a trail, and you just follow it. And you deal and overcome whatever obstacles are in your way as you arrive to them. And it's just nice to kind of get away from the science, from the traffic, from everyone around here. And it's just nice to be kind of sleeping under the stars and just kind of reset, refresh. And again, that's probably something that I would have told my former self is take time to just rest. Rest your mind, rest your spirit, rest your soul, just rest. So anyways, that's one of the hobbies I enjoy. The other hobby that I've had as a child was just racing cars. What we used to do as teenagers is we would each build out our cars, and there was a race called just a quarter-mile race, which is just a straight race. It's all sanctioned, it's all safe, it's all kind of legal, and it was just a quarter-mile race. So at the end of the day, what I loved about that was really the challenge in trying to beat your own time. So the idea is that you get your car and you try to race across as fast as you can, but the trick is you have to be consistent. If you go faster or slower than your predicted time, you lose. So you have to get as close as possible. So that was a self-challenge. The other challenge behind that was if something breaks down or something needs repairing, you need to be mechanically inclined enough to be able to make that repair in real time, either there on the track or at home. So I learned how to build engines and transmissions and basic parts of the car just through, again, a necessity, but also because I loved the challenge of just learning something new. how do I rebuild this part? How do I rebuild that part? And I think that really speaks to just kind of who I am. I like to rebuild. I like to understand. I like to fix. And I like to pass my knowledge on to others. I think as a child, it was very rare of us to have like a full course meal. Oftentimes, just growing up, the only meals we had were whenever we'd go to school and they give us a free breakfast and a free lunch. And then on the weekends, we didn't really have much to eat. So one of my favorite holidays was Thanksgiving, because that's an occasion where family got together, everyone pitched in a little bit to buy whatever food, whatever we needed, and had a good time. So being able to have a full belly, a couple of times of the year, and then at the same time, be with family, be with friends, love your family, be loved back. That's one of my favorite. And even today, that is my favorite holiday, because it brings everybody together and we're reminded of the many, many blessings each of us have. Even in our, when things are really bad, there's people that have it worse sometimes. So that's one of mine. So my first year at the Mayo Clinic, when we were doing some of our rounds, I was shadowing one of the oncologists. And you have a whole team of individuals ranging from medical students all the way to residents and fellows that were all in the group. I remember being introduced to the first cancer patient I was ever experienced in interacting with at Mayo Clinic. And I remember just being outgoing and happy and extending my hand out to shake their hand and say, "Hi, how are you?" The reason that resonates so well, because in the second that I said, "Hi, how are you doing?" it occurred to me like, my goodness, this person is here, is diagnosed with cancer, and they have so much on their mind. Are they going to live? Are they not going to live? What are the treatment options? How is it painful going to be? And I felt like I didn't give them, I didn't appreciate the position they were in. Instead of me coming, "Hey, hi, how are you?" That's just my nature, to be friendly and to be happy. So I felt really bad about that. And it wasn't until much, much later where my mentor, Dr. Svetomir Markovic, commented on that. And he said, "Thank you for doing that. You made that patient feel like a human. You made that patient feel like, even though they're here to be treated for cancer, that's not how we define the patient. It's not a cancer patient. Their name is." And that person told my mentor how much they appreciated that I did that. But I felt really embarrassed that I felt like I disregarded the fact that they were a patient there. But so that was really memorable to me. And that reminds me, not every day, but it reminds me quite frequently that at the end of the day, we are all people. And we shouldn't be labeled as the patient or as the doctor. It's, so-and-so who has family, has children, grandchildren, and so forth. And that's how we're supposed to look at the individuals, as another human that we're supposed to care for. And I don't know why that resonates, but it really does. I think what's been helpful to a lot of the leaders here that I've noticed, and I think this is a quality that has just been innate that I was brought up with, is to serve others. We are in many ways put on earth to help one another out. And if we put the patient first, and if we put everything else around that decision second or third or fourth, then I think at the end of the day, you're going to be a great leader. And you're going to be a great leader not because you're exalting yourself, but because you're doing it to serve others. So in my capacity as an associate director for the research and training office, we really do look at that responsibilities, me and my office, how do we serve the next generation of scientists and the next generation? So we're really focused on trying to develop programs that will foster and encourage and support those individuals to be successful at every stage. And every stage ranges from 7th grade all the way to junior faculty and everyone in between. So I think to be a successful leader, you have to think about how are your decisions going to positively impact your community. And your community can be the people you work with on campus, it could be your staff, it could be your students, it could be your colleagues, it could also be your community at large, the individuals that live within our UAMC area, but even beyond that, our catchment area, patients that come from afar to serve us. That should always be our priority. Every decision we make should be based on how do we serve them? If somebody approaches me for the first time, one thing that I am proud of, and one thing that I do share, is the fact that my family and I, have been able to raise ourselves from below poverty, and kind of through hard work, through lots of blessings, and through lots of people caring and nurturing us, we've able to advance and be able to be at a point where we can now give back. So maybe oftentimes when we look at one another, we don't think about how was that person brought up, what is that person's history. So that might be maybe a little bit revealing to some, just how much my family and I have had to overcome. We were married when we were teenagers. We had kids. The first year I started college, we already had kids. And there's a lot of challenges associated with just college alone. Needless to say, raising a family, a wife, children, and so forth. So just the obstacles that I think a lot of us have had to overcome, not just me, a lot of people, that could be a surprise to a lot of people, what we've had to overcome to just be here.